Thank you, Tanya. And joining us to talk more about the symptoms and treatment of anxiety in children and adolescents is Dr. Donna Pincus, who is director of the Child and Adolescent Fear and Anxiety Treatment Program at Boston University. She joins us from a studio at Boston University. Thanks for being with us, Donna.
Thanks for having me.
Let me start out by asking about vomiting as a sign of anxiety in children. Obviously, there's some debate about whether or not in this particular case it was real, but in general, is that a common symptom of anxiety in children or teens?
Well, we know that nausea is a common symptom of anxiety. So if you think about what's adaptive, the fight or flight system is really basically what anxiety is, and it's meant to protect us. So it would be adaptive to have the blood and all of your energy going towards the legs if something was really going to chase you or harm you. So temporarily, the body sort of shuts down digestive functions, and sometimes kids can feel nauseous, and adolescents and even adults can feel nauseous from feeling anxious. And typically the anxiety, as that dissipates, the nausea tends to go away as soon as the body realizes that there's nothing truly dangerous.
I guess the big question for parents in general is knowing how to sort out temporary moments of anxiety in children from an ongoing disorder of some kind. So obviously I assume the number of times a child or teen demonstrates symptoms, the reasons for it are important. But how do you, as a professional, tell parents to make this differentiation?
Well, one of the key things that we tell parents to look for are the interference in the children's daily life or the teenager's daily life. So, for example, if a child can't go to a birthday party, teenager isn't going to the dances, or even refusing school. We have kids that are so severe that they're stopping their daily activities that we would consider to be developmentally appropriate. So the key words are interference and then also distress. So if a child or adolescent is doing those activities but is doing so with extreme distress, then in fact it might be time to seek some professional help.
At just 8 years old, Lindsay is one of the youngest children in the country officially diagnosed with something called separation anxiety and panic disorder.
Mommy!
It's basically the feeling that you would have if you were really in intense danger. And the difference with panic is that there's really no actual threat there, but your body is reacting as if there is a threat.
Donna Pincus, a therapist at the Center for Anxiety Disorders in Boston, says experts are only now realizing that anxiety disorders, including panic disorder, strike an astounding 10% of America's children under 18. And what parents may have long thought was simply difficult childhood behavior, refusing to go to bed, eating certain foods, could well be the sign of serious anxiety. Panic disorder is something psychologists have long known affects adults. What experts didn't know until recently is that children get panic attacks too.
My heart started beating really fast. I had trouble breathing.
Maureen Murphy, now 17, was just 9 years old when she had her first panic attack. She sometimes had as many as 6 a day.
It feels like terror, like I didn't know what was going to happen. I thought I was dying.
Panic attacks or other anxiety disorders can be inherited by children biologically, or they can sometimes be brought on by trauma. But according to surprising new research, they can also be literally contagious, absorbed by children simply from observing the anxious behavior of those around them.
If a parent gets very, very anxious in certain situations or sees a spider and produces a lot of fear in the parent, children learn from their parents, and we watch our caregivers all the time, and we learn inadvertently. Parents could be teaching kids to feel fearful.
Dr. Donna Pincus is a clinical psychologist with the Center for Anxiety and Related Disorders at Boston University and is director of its Child and Adolescent Fear and Anxiety program. So, Dr. Pincus, you're just the right person to talk to. Good morning.
Good morning.
Nice to see you. Obviously, we heard from some kids, young and older kids, about the stresses they feel. We usually think back on childhood as this carefree time, but kids today seem to be more stressed out than ever. Is that right?
It seems that way. I mean, they might not be stressing about paying bills or things like that, but they certainly have their own unique stressors. And, you know, I've had kids recently telling me that they need Palm Pilots just to keep themselves organized. So
right.
if you think about it, without having good coping skills, it could be a really hard time for kids.
Is part of the big problem being overprogrammed? Because it sounded as if those kids were just feeling overwhelmed with everything they had to do. And we've talked so much about that on this show, kids just feeling so jam-packed in terms of their schedules.
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes kids don't have enough downtime. They don't have enough time to sort of regroup after being in school all day or having a lot of activities. And parents want to give their kids the best, so they want to give them a lot of activities, but sometimes the best thing is to be able to give them some downtime as well.